Hey, everybody, and welcome back to what you are considering to be like your legit favorite podcast with two awesome manifestation coaches, myself, Flossie, and Nikki, here at the Assumption Effect. And we are going to talk about today's video, which is titled Stop Being Sherlock Holmes, Holmes, because y'all are just like searching under every rock that has ever existed looking for your shit. Like, you're all not Dora the Explorer facts.
Right. This is like a huge thing. We get clients, they affirm, say they're persisting. They'll contact us in 2, 3 days and tell us nothing's changed. Or they'll start taking action in their 3D, asking their SP questions, looking at their bank account. So let me ask you, Flossie, if you were manifesting a different eye color, for example, are you going to stare in the mirror all day and wait for it to change?
No.
You might notice it. You might notice when you look in the mirror when you're doing your hair that your eyes are still blue and not green. But what do you do then?
You keep persisting, yo.
You keep persisting and you keep going. You're like, whatever. You have to give no meaning, or at least not a meaning that's not going to work for you, to anything in your 3D that's not presenting the way you want it to be yet. You guys need to stop looking for it. I get messages, I get emails, Flossie does too. I'm doing what you told me to do, but it's not working. Girl, you've been doing it for a week. Can it happen instantly? Can it happen in 3 days? Yes. But more often than not, we see people that have a ton of logical or limiting assumptions or thoughts that aren't in their favor or shitty ass mental diet. And you got to reprogram your way of thinking. That is how this works.
So let's just be real. We get that you're walking the fine line in between thinking as if you have what you want, you're affirming, you're having repetition of thought. And, when you affirm, you're thinking as if you have what you want. When you're keeping a clean mental diet, you're thinking as if you have what you want. So there's a part of you that's thinking as if you have the relationship, the money, the new job, the eye color, the appearance, the health, whatever. And then there's the 3D. And the 3D can instantly conform, but it doesn't always. So what are you doing in the meantime is you're doing that dance of waiting for the 3D reality to conform as you're changing your dominant thoughts by the affirming and the persisting. And that's going to your subconscious. It's going to end up manifesting. Your 3D reality is going to conform, or you're going to shift to the reality where that is what it exists, however it is that you look at it. But there can be a time delay. There also could be some time between you taking your thoughts from where they are to where you want them to be. Because a lot of times, if you're in a 3D reality that there's something that you don't prefer, it's quite often because you thought some negative ass, nasty ass thoughts to get there in the first place. And so you've got to change your mindset about that topic enough to have it become your dominant thought so that your 3D can conform. Now, does that mean that you must absolutely believe that you're going to have it? No. Do you have to be walking in total faith that it's going to happen? No. It's just you just got to change your dominant thought, and that can take a few minutes. But I I and Nikki talked to many, many, many people over the course of, coaching in general. And it seems like there's like phases, and right now there seems to be a phase, for lack of a better word, where I'm hearing a lot of, but how do I deal with the 3D? Like the 3D is showing me the opposite. Of course, it's potentially going to show you the opposite because you're wanting to experience something different. And so you're not experiencing what you prefer. And so the 3D for a minute may not look the way you like.
Right. Many times, Flossie and I have manifested our own things, our own experiences, and it wasn't always instant. And did we notice that it wasn't in front of us because we wanted it like yesterday? Sure. But we didn't bitch, we didn't moan, we didn't complain about it. Instead, we said, it'll be here soon. Let me do this. And we keep persisting. That's literally what it is. Persisting isn't just like this magic trick, and we've said it a million times. I mean, it can be like magic, but the magic's within you, right? It's not something outside of you. So the magic is being able to change your dominant thoughts and assumptions. And you're never going to do that if you keep stopping and whining and complaining and playing the victim and saying, oh, it's not here yet. Or I asked SP if they're ready to commit and they said no, and then they blocked me. Or I applied for a job and I didn't get it. Well, guess what? You keep going. You're going to live your life in the 3D with the 3D things that are around you. I'm not going to quit my job because I'm manifesting money. I'm not going to break up with my SP because I'm upset and he's not marrying me yet. You don't want to take some kind of action like manipulating people or having these conversations. The best train of thought, and this isn't for you to take action. If you want to know where your dominant assumption is, ask yourself a core question. And the first thing that pops in your head, that is where your assumption lies. And don't try to fool yourself and just give yourself an affirmation. What do you think your SP thinks about you right now? Honest to God, that's your answer. That's where your assumption and dominant thought is. Well, he's annoyed by me, or he thinks I'm crazy, or he thinks that I'm doing too much, or he thinks I bug him. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to affirm the opposite until that assumption, that first question, that first answer to that question changes. And more often than not, you're going to notice the manifestation before that would even change on a conscious level. And that goes for anything. Why isn't SP contacting me right now? Well, what do you think he's doing? And now you know what you got to work on. But you really got to stop freaking looking for it and stop trying to manipulate things. Because our entire life, when we're asleep, what you're doing is you take action for everything because that's what you think you need to do. Is it good to take action? Do we have assumptions we need to take certain actions with certain things? Yeah, that's okay. But when we say don't react, we mean don't go out there, put yourself out there and say, hey, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? You can't do that.
It's not like we're in The Simpsons where you're going to be like, can we have a pool dad? Can we have a pool dad? Can we have a pool dad? No, we're not going to do that. But having digressed for a moment, one of the things that I've said to people that's really helped them to like have an aha moment is that when you were spiritually asleep, you didn't worry about a lot of things that you worry about now. Why? Because you weren't aware that your thoughts were what was creating ultimately. And it's your dominant thought. It's not just, if you have a dominant thought that SP loves you and you have a weird stray thought that, SP doesn't love me, your SP is not going to stop loving you instantly like that because that's not your dominant thought. But having said that, our whole lives, when we've wanted something, we've been aware that we're experiencing something else. So think back when you were spiritually asleep and you wanted a new job. Were you freaking out about your old job while you were applying for the new one? No, you were most likely in a state of being quote unquote hopeful, is what we would have looked at it back then, where you would apply for your job and then you would be like, I know that they're going to reach out to me because I'm an amazing candidate. And like, oh, I just had my interview. I know that they're going to hire me. Of course they are, because like I always interview so well. And, maybe you're applying at different places and you're like, I could see myself working here. I could see myself being here. And so these are the type of thoughts that you were having. And so you weren't necessarily like worried and freaking out and looking for the manifestation constantly. You just were like, yeah, I'm going to hear from these people. And then you just went about your day. But your overall thought process was that you were going to get this. Or if you were, manifesting a relationship unintentionally, of course, like, you wanted to have a relationship, you were hanging out with friends, you meet somebody, you meet this new person, you feel like they check your boxes, then you're not you weren't freaking out about the 3D a lot of the times. You were like, oh, I met this person, they were really cool. I know that they're going to reach out because we had a great connection. And they're going to take me on these awesome dates. I can't wait. Like, I know they're going to be blowing up my phone. And like, you were just thinking about them blowing up your phone and you were thinking as if it was happening and you were just staying focused on it and you were excited about it. And you were calling your friends and you're telling everybody about your date that you went on. And you weren't sitting there in a state of like worrying, panic, looking under every rock for what you wanted. You just saw as if you had it. And that's just how it was going to be. And this was how it was going to progress. So when we start consciously manifesting, a lot of times we start to realize that our thoughts create and it's our dominant thought. And so we start freaking out about what we're thinking, or, we know that we're going to get what we want. So then we start trying to look for it everywhere and we look for the evidence of it because, we're not sure about how we manifest and if manifestation works for us. And so we're freaking out and we're doing all these things that we normally wouldn't have done in the past, where if you just chill the fuck out and stop trying to be Sherlock Holmes and Dora the Explorer and just keep affirming and persisting and allow things to unfold, it's going to unfold for you. Every time you go looking for what you want, and it's not there, you're reaffirming to yourself that you don't have it. And a lot of times when people do that, then they spiral and then they're having to pick themselves up from a spiral. Whereas if they just persisted and they just soothed themselves and said, like, yeah, like this is going to happen for me. I'm going to choose that this happens for me because I'm a master manifesting, and then just affirmed for manifestation abilities, or just wrote a FU letter, command letter to themselves, or did some EFT tapping, or used distraction or something else. Guess what? They wouldn't be searching and they wouldn't be causing their own unintentional delay. Every time that you search, you're potentially causing yourself your own unintentional delay.
Exactly, exactly. And this is one of the topics that truly frustrates us because we've been there, we know. And I don't know how many times we have to say it, how many videos, how many podcasts, how many times we just have to repeat ourselves. We're persisting and teaching you guys, and it's like nobody's listening. Stop looking for it. End of story. Stop taking action and manipulate the 3D. End of story. Just go with the flow. Live your life. Persist. It's going to unfold in the most perfect way possible for you.
Now, to be clear, Nikki's not saying to not take inspired action. Like if you are manifesting a new job and you feel inspired to, apply for something, apply for it because we are people of action. We've always taken a certain amount of action. We're going to likely continue to take an action that feels inspired, especially if that's what our assumption is. But what we're saying is don't be like, oh, I'm going to try to I want to SP to reach out to me, so I'm going to purposely search for a reason that I for something that I can do that will make them contact me. Like, no, now you're forcing action, now you're manipulating the 3D, now you're looking for confirmation. That's what's not to do. If you have a random thought that you think SP needs to see something and it seems like, it's an inspired thing, send it. Like that could be part of your bridge of incidents. Don't necessarily second guess yourself, but don't go searching under every rock for your manifestation or things that you can do to force it along. Just allow it to unfold. It's normal to notice in the 3D that you don't have what you want if it's truly not there. And then you can just say, you know what, this is old story. I don't give a shit. And then go back to affirming and persisting, or just reject that completely and be like, no, SP's reaching out to me all the time. No, the new job contacted me. No, I'm wrapping it up at my old job. No, I've got plenty of money. Like, do whatever it is that you've learned to do that you feel works best for you with manifesting, but don't like dwell on it and then search for it.
Right. Exactly. So, guys, we'll see you on the next podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for our rant. And we'll see you guys next time. Love you. Bye bye.
Bye.